What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Timo of the Almighty Oceans. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for this massive introduction. Very happy to be here.
Anytime, man. Anytime. It's so great to have you here. It's fair to say 2022 has been a fairly busy year for Oceans because we got Hell is Where the Heart Is, the album out now, but now you got also this Clarity EP that's coming out with it. Is this like sort of like a picking up where you left off? Is it like almost kind of like an extension of Hell is Where the Heart Is in a way, or is this kind of like its own entity in the Oceans camp?
No, actually, it's those. We have split the album in three parts. And this EP, I know it's a little confusing, I get it, but it's basically the same. So we released three EPs throughout this year, and they now all come together to form the album Hell is Where the Heart Is. So it's no additional EP or anything. It's just it's the same songs.
What is what is it with bands with the word oceans in its and its name that's so confusing? Because the ocean, I don't know if it's the ocean or the Ocean Collective. There's this EP scenario. I'm
Yeah.
starting to notice a pattern here.
I don't know. It must run with the name, or I don't know. Or it's just those crazy times now with the streaming and everything. It just calls for new ways to release stuff.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah,
with this album though being having like its sort of three EPs, that where is it meant to be listened to in a chronological fashion in order to like understand a concept in a way? And it another question is, was this like a preconceived vision? Is this what you knew you wanted to do for the follow up to The Sun and the Cold?
uh, yes and no. We didn't know it that early in the process. So when we just started working on album number two, there was nothing planned of such stuff. We just started writing songs and music like we always do. We always write the music first. We have instrumentals first, and we write lyrics separately from that. And normally we just try to have at least double the amount of songs, instrumentals done that we would need to make an album, because we really want to choose carefully which songs fit together well to form like this. Yeah, just an album of songs that feel good, that fit together well, that just feels crafted together very well. And we did that, and then we started putting lyrics on them. We found it kind of, it was like a natural flow came together somehow. So we figured, it's going, like a lot of lyrics are going to this direction. Then our guitarist Patrick came up with this little concept story behind it that you can hear in each of the intros for each of the three parts. And then it all just came together and kind of happened. And then it became this like concept album with those three parts that work on their own, but when you put them together and when you listen to it in its entirety, I think it's a whole different experience.
And being that these were kind of released in a separate fashion, do you think that Love and Her Embrace is has a different context if you were to like listen to just that at the time, as opposed to listening to Love and Her Embrace, then going for Longing, and then going for Clarity after? Do you think that the context of the album sort of changes depending how you listen to it, in a way, whether you listen to all three straight through or all of them like in separate occasions?
I at least hope to think, or I hope so. I like to think that way. For me, it is like that. I've been listening to the whole album for the first time in like a long time. I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, and it really hit me how different it impacted me listening to them all in this particular order. It's just when you're in the end, and when you're like nearing the end and the last song starts, the only song that we haven't released so far. Um it i i just i just got goosebumps all over, and it's just getting so dark in the end, which we didn't intend it to do in the first place, but also it just kind of happened. And this impact it has, it only unfolds if you take the time to listen to it start to finish, I think.
Mhm.
So yeah, it hits differently.
Do you want the music to be open to interpretation, or being that this is a concept album, that you kind of want the listener to
Yeah.
be just as engaged in the message or the meaning in the story as the music itself?
No, no, we always try to. I mean, with the lyrics, we don't try to be too like ominous and metaphoric in our lyrics. They're always very. We try to be very like, how do you say, down to earth, on point. We try to be very relatable. We try to put ourselves inside the perspective of people that go through this particular thing that one lyric is about. And I mean, most of our songs are themed around mental health topics and different just mental states that you can be in. And we just try to put ourselves into this perspective and try to incorporate, of course, our own experiences that we have with it. And we really try to make it very, yeah, relatable to people. And I think in this sense, there is not much room for interpretation. But then on the other hand, everyone has their own experiences in their own past, and they might connect it with their own like individual particular moment or experience that they had. And so I think um that's it, and that's fine with me. I mean, I don't say that this song is meant to be this and that, and that's it.
Well, mental health has been a an amazing concept that has been expressed through all forms of extreme music. Whether you take the depression that's expressed in a band like Nightfall, or something you would see in a suicidal black metal band like Life Lover, but then
Yeah.
even bands like Disturbed talk about mental health in their music. Why do you feel that the style that Oceans utilizes, why do you feel that that is sort of like the best sound to sort of express this sort of meaning?
I wouldn't go as far and to say that it's like the best sound to do that. I think with metal in general, probably it is just a widespread topic, because I guess metal on the one hand attracts a lot of people that feel more like outcasts and stuff like that, and that because of that maybe are more prone to mental health problems. But that is like a totally un I don't know. I'm just talking out of the blue here. But on the other hand, it's also very common to express your feelings and be open about it, especially as a male, or a person that identifies as male inside the metal music. So I think that's why it's very, or a little bit more being done in this scene than maybe others. Like if you, I don't know, I don't want to be too cliche here, but if you take like rap, for example, where's oftentimes about being like strong male stereotype characters, then they probably wouldn't talk about their, like how bad they feel and how depressed they are and whatever. Not saying that this is not the case with some, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just on a very like stereotypical high level
Mm-hmm.
speaking. So I think metal music in general is very open to this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool.
Obviously, when you write about darkness or internal pain or suffering, it's a very cathartic feeling. But do you feel that when darkness or agony is the fuel behind your art, that could also maybe make the songwriting process rather deteriorating?
I guess that's how it is for a lot of people. I mean, there's always this, I don't want to call it a misconception because there's definitely some truth behind it, but there's always this narrative that when artists suffer the most, they make their best art. And this is something that I think about a lot, actually, because I mean, I don't want to suffer, I want to be happy. I want to live a happy life, but also I want to create great art. So should I like even actively put myself into a place of like into a bad place? or whatever, so that I can create better music. I don't know. That's just something that I think about a lot, and I haven't found the answer yet. But um, I think for us, it's not that much about putting ourselves. I mean, life life itself can be hard enough at times. You don't have to make it deliberately, or like you don't have to make it worse on purpose for that. But yeah, for us, we just try to be very relatable and try to just talk about things that a lot of people go through and show them that they are not alone and that other people understand the struggle.
Mhm. And this can go for either hell is where the heart is, or even could apply to the sun and the cold. But is the lyrical aspects that's demonstrated in Oceans, is it always coming from an internal source, or could it also be an external reference, or like maybe you look for inspiration, or there's a lot of observation that goes into the lyrical and songwriting process?
I would say most of it is internal. Um, I mean, we've been, for example, on the 2000, when was it, 21
Mm-hmm.
EP, the We Are Not Okay EP. We had 4 songs, and each of them dealing with one specific um, mental illness. Like one was about depression, one about anxiety, one about schizophrenic disorder. And I mean, it's not that like I or we in the band have been like personally going to each and every one of those things. Fortunately, we haven't. Maybe some, but not all of it. But in the end, the I think the first, like the initial thought, it's always something internal, and then if it's developing into a topic that, for example, like schizophrenic disorder, I just did a lot of research on the topic because I am not suffering from it, and none of us is. So um, I just researched a lot and like watched interviews with people that have it. Um, but yeah, that's the exception. Actually, most of the stuff we have is just when you have this, when there's a moment in your life, it just sparks an idea because it affects you somehow emotionally.
I
Then
had a,
you take it and try to,
I
yeah.
had I had a long conversation with somebody about this, about the term altered state of mind, because an altered state of mind could be somebody having a schizophrenic episode or somebody having a manic episode, but altered state also means you could be drunk or high, or utilizing a
Yeah.
substance. But do you think that the creative process, the just either sitting down with a guitar or sitting down with a paintbrush, do you think the creative energy is also a rather altered state of mind in a way?
Mm, I guess to a degree, yeah. I mean, if I was just trying to think like how I feel when I write, and I think it's definitely very focused. Like I totally switch off the world around me, everything. It's just I'm just, but it's kind of this like when you're, I guess not only with music, it's just when you're working on something and you get into this flow mode, you're just doing it. You're like in hyper focus. There's nothing else, and you're just doing this one thing. Um, that's for me how it is. And I think what you're referring to, it happens more when actually when we're playing music on stage, for example. This is more, I would say that's more kind of this like kind of high, kind of even what's the word? I don't know, like trance, like when you just play there and it's loud and with the others and the crowd cheering and everything. This is more like I think this is more compare, and it makes it's highly addictive too. So it compares much more to drugs, alcohol, or whatever high you can have, I think, than writing.
Mm-hmm. when it comes to playing live, because I want to hear this whole "Hell Is Where the Heart Is" album live, and I would love to hear that. But I'd imagine with your great and dedicated fan base, you're gonna have to maybe mix up the set lists and play the Sun and the Cold album, a couple songs off of that album, some songs off of the We Are Not Okay EP. So you're gonna have to sort of shuffle your set list around. Do you
Yeah,
think that's also going to bring a new layer of context or meaning to the song if you're going through multiple spaces in time, in a way?
that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and life is totally different because I think if you sit down at home and you're like closed off in a closed off environment and you listen to a CD, then you can you can have this focus from start to finish. You can really like dive into life. It can be very different because there's a lot of people there, a lot of like things that can happen, and it's I think there it's more a song to song kind of thing. Um, and yeah, we would choose songs for live out of a totally different perspective than we would choose songs that make an album. Because live, it's just about like being able to grab the crowd and just yeah pull them in and like really just then have a good time together.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've played with a variety of different bands, such as Black Widow. I know that you've played with Varg for a period of time. Uh,
But sorry, I just have to laugh because Black Widow is like I was like I don't know 14 or where did you dig that up?
I just gotta ask. The good old Metal Archives has all the dirt
Oh
on
yeah.
everybody, but
Okay, cool.
yep. And then there's also Syntech. I don't know if that's even diving deeper, but does the creative mindset change depending on what project you've been playing with? Is it like a different art form altogether, or is there a usual method behind the madness that applies to everything?
No, it actually differs. That's true. I mean, with the um that's so funny. That's so long ago. I Syntac kind of it developed out of Black Widow. It was like our teenage school friends band thing. And this was probably the closest to what Oceans is now because then I mean, we were just rehearsing every week and we were playing a couple of shows in like the small home area where we were based off. So there was nothing like professional to it. So yeah, we were just making music like whatever we wanted to. There was nothing. There were no big fan base that demanded things. There was no label, no booking, no nothing. We just were kids that made music. Um, and later on, in other bands, I was probably more catering towards what was needed for the band. Um, I mean, I wrote a shit ton of Viking metal songs, which is not like my number one favorite genre.
I don't even know what that means
um,
anymore. If Cardi B wrote a song about Vikings, would that make it Viking metal? Like, I don't get that concept anymore.
I don't.
Like, Amon
I
Amarth is
really don't know,
Amon
but
Amarth is melodic death metal. Managarm is melodic
yeah,
death metal. They sing about Vikings. It doesn't make it a genre. But I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah, that's very true. So yeah, but this was more like okay, and this is probably more the approach when I do like write as a producer maybe for other bands as well. This is you have this certain setting or genre that the band is in and where the song needs to be for this particular artist, and then I just sit down and see okay, I write a particular song in this genre with specific traits that it has to have. If we're talking melodic death metal, then I need two guitars and like melodic leads, and it needs probably to be fast and stuff like that. So then I do that. But with Oceans, it's a totally different approach. I just sit down and write whatever comes to my mind,
Hmm.
and um, and everything is possible in the first place.
Hmm.
And then um, then this whole process with the whole band starts to come in. Like, it's not that I write everything and it's 100% my doing. It's the four of us that listen to the songs, make adjustments, say, okay, this part is great, this part doesn't feel good yet, whatever. And this is also why the songs sometimes take a couple of years until they're done, because when we have the feeling they're not there yet, we just put them in the drawer. And when we feel it's their time again, then we just open the drawer and pull them out again and work on it again until we think they're finished.
Mm.
And all this back and forth between the four of us that all have different tastes, and then also trying to put them together to an album, so it's not like sounding like, I don't know, five different bands, but that the whole thing sounds like Oceans. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, but it's a totally different process also. So I enjoyed so very much.
You led me perfectly into the last two questions I had for you. Like you couldn't have
All
like
right.
led it perfectly. The first of the final question I want to ask is you mentioned you're working on a song for a long period of time, even sometimes years, but I really feel like an
Yeah.
Ocean song does capture a moment within its concept and when its sound. Do you find it maybe the longer that you're working on something, the harder it is to sort of maintain that moment or capture that moment, or is that not even something you're really thinking about in the songwriting process?
No, I would actually say it's vice versa. It is, the longer we work on it, the more we are able to get this focus in. Because when you're writing, everything's possible, and then you have one part, then you add another part, then you add another part, da da da, yada yada, and then it's the newest song that you wrote, and the newest one is always the best song that you ever did. At least for me, it's like that. And then I yeah, and but then you cannot really I mean, you can never be objective, I guess, but when it's so fresh, there's no way that I could judge it good enough. So then it is this process that we have, that okay, I put it away, and a couple of weeks ago, or even whatever, or the others say, hey, dude, this part, it sucks. It I don't know, it doesn't fit, and then this is what makes it so focused, I think, and round. And same with the lyrics. I mean, it's just yeah, because when we have the finished instrumental and then we write the lyrics and then I try to sing it on the song, then it starts again, because then we see, okay, now the lyrics maybe changed something, so we need to change the arrangement. I don't know, the chorus needs to be double, or we need more of it, or I don't know, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it goes on and on.
And that led me perfectly into the final question. Is it better if everyone in Oceans feels the same way about a certain song and is on the same page with the concept and the sound, or could all of you having different emotions or feeling differently actually help enhance what the song is?
Yeah, I think both. It totally depends on the song, because we have such a wide variety of styles and songs. I mean, on this album now we have like, I guess you could call it a power ballad, the piano and the singing and everything. I don't know, but we also have like fast blast beat death metal songs on it, and of course some of us like the first thing more, some like the latter more. So we have songs that some of us don't like and some like, but we also have songs that everyone likes, and it's just it's okay. Everyone is fine with that, as long as the whole like overall thing, everyone feels good about it, so that we don't put anything out, or we would never put anything out where one says, oh, I like have, how do you say in German, you would say like, I think you have tummy ache doing it. So we wouldn't do that. So we work on it again until everyone's just saying, yeah, that's Oceans. I'm totally fine with that.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for such an excellent conversation. Is there just anything
Thank you very
else with
much.
Oceans that you would like to promote with the release of this amazing new three-part EP or album, whatever you like to call it? Hell is where the heart is. What can we be expecting? Please tell me that there is a U.S. tour in the works.
Oh my God. I would love to tell you that.
Mm,
And unfortunately, no, I cannot. I mean, we are always working on tours, but there's nothing I can say as of yet. So yeah, all I can say is the album is coming out and it is bringing all the three EPs together. Not also digitally, but now you also have the chance to have it on CD with a huge booklet that we designed ourselves, which is gonna be really, really beautiful. And of course, there's also be vinyl. I think it's limited to 300 pieces. Uh, also looking absolutely amazing. And yeah, we would very much appreciate if you can afford it, then pre-order it or order it when it's out next week and support the band. And the more you buy our albums, the higher the chances are that we make it to the US someday.
hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Oceans. Hell is where the heart is. Be sure to check it out. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.